Good afternoon. After this hearty lunch, I'm sure all of us are a bit tired. Listening is not very easy in life. It's one of the biggest challenges we all face. But, Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji is not here. When he said that he failed in physics, I was kind of very happy because I failed the whole class. And I thought I did better than him. Happiness is very dangerous. You know why? Because it's very contagious. And Thich Nhat Hanh, often we quote him, said that the way to happiness is the way. And I imagine that happiness is not a means to anything, but is an end by itself. So I would like to ask 3 questions. If you participate with me, just say yes or no. Is that okay? Would you like to be happy?
Yes.
Do you think others like to be happy?
Yes.
Do you think others want you to be happy?
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's great. Because often on the 3rd question, when I ask, do you think others want you to be happy? There's a lot of silence. Because we have lost trust in humanity altogether. Well, approximately 60 years ago, the ecology or the nature was encompassing everything, within which was the society, and within that small society was the economics. Today, economics has encompassed us, within which is the society, and within the society is that small ecology. This is all due to so-called the economic growth or development that has no threshold. Anything is development, for that matter. So because of our greed, today we land in 3 divides, or rather 4 divides. The 3 divides we say is ecological divide, where today we are consuming 1.5 times the biocapacity of our earth. It's like yesterday I was giving this example. It's like asking a mother, you have to give 1.5 births in 1 year. Maybe the technology and the science today can manage that, but is that sustainable, is the question. Exactly that's what we are doing with our earth, planet Earth. If you look into, we complain so much about population growth. But if you see, we rear 1 trillion animal, 1,000 billion animal on this planet and slaughter 700 billion every year for the greed of 7.5 billion people. I mean, if we use this 80% of arable land to grow food, we can have 30 billion people and we can just grow 1 time in a year to last for 10 years. That's the kind of simple statistics, you know. If you look into how we are doing with our fossil fuels and our excavation from the earth, we're using 400 years of Earth's hard work in creating this fossil fuel we are burning in just 1 year. And we're doing massive minings all over. For whom? Is it for us or for generations to come? A big question to be asked. If it is for generations to come, will it last until they are there on this planet? A big question. And because of our greed, and definitely there are a lot of examples that I can give you, because of our greed, now the global warming is a reality. The Arctic ice has broken. The glaciers, which is the 3rd ice cap on Earth, is melting at a fast speed, whether it's in Himalayas, Alps, Urals, Rockies, or Andes, or you name any mountains. You know, it's really massively degenerating. 3 months ago, we did a study on snow leopards, and we found only 100 snow leopards are living on the mountains of Bhutan, simply because they cannot follow the snow. If they follow, they'll miss the food chain. So they try to adapt below the snow line and they die. Simple as that. The second one is the economic divide. And that is, I think that was also referred, if you see today that 20% of the global population, that's about 1.4 billion people, take away 75% of the income and consume 77% of the global production. The same number of people consume less than 2% of the global production and take away less than 5% of the global income. So where is the reality of our existence? I think what we need to think about beyond us, beyond the happiness, we always ask, we want to be happy. We always say, let's try to gear for happiness. But we never ask, why do we want to go for happiness? I think that should be also a question we should ask ourselves. Why do we want happiness? I think we'll have much more answers to ourselves. Now the reality of economic divide is so large that we don't have, many countries try to keep the prices of things by dumping things that they produce. Even US, for an example, you produce a lot of rice, and if you don't want the prices to go low, you just dump large part of it into the sea to feed the animals in the sea. By the way, of course, animals in the sea give us 80% of oxygen, and that we claim, we ourselves as human beings, is all due to the interdependence. 2/3 of us is water, and the rest is food and air that we constitute of. So we are not what we call ourselves as we are beyond we. If we learn to live with interdependence, then we become a better human beings, and we don't need to search happiness, because happiness will come behind us, because we are a part of the interdependence. The third divide is the societal divide. Today we fear, if you greet anybody on the street, hello, good morning, good afternoon, often you get a resistance. They fear, kind of, what does this guy really want from me? So we have lost this human, nature in all of us. If you look into what is happening on Earth, 96 million horrendous crimes take place, of which 1 million is a suicide, 1 million rape, about 16 million divorces take place. We live in a very paradoxical world, actually. The Child Rights Act, the Marriage Act, tells us how to behave with our children and how to behave with our spouses. Is this not paradoxical? It is. It is. And why are we tend to have more and more laws, regulations, act on this earth is simply because we have lost our values. And the values that we refer to are very simple. Values that starts with love and ends with trust. There are about 10 values, human values, and they are across in all cultures, all religions, you name it. So we need to, I think, change our whole concept of living, and as I say, we are trying to do this through the Educating GNH, that's the term that we use. And Mind and Life in Boston tried to start with actually calling for care, and they did give us an assignment, and we tried for a year, and it does bring a huge, tremendous change. Now this has been picked up by Vietnam, and in the city of Hue, 30 million children are already being addressed through this process of calling for care. And it does work, and this calling for care is so simple. It tells you how you take care of yourself, your parents, your friends, your families, and the environment around you. Well, money has been often associated with life satisfaction, and I think, in fact, the Gallup poll has done that, the happiness index would have done that. But I think you realize suddenly that there is a correlation up to a certain extent. Beyond that, it just flattens. There's no return after that. And if you see Denmark, for example, is on the top according to the World Happiness Report. Switzerland was first last year, but now it's taken again back by Denmark. And Denmark has the highest suicide rates, or at least very high suicide rate in the world. And why does that happen? So it's not necessarily the income. And Switzerland has much higher income than Denmark, of course, per GDP per capita. But I think it's much to do with other things. That's community trust, the self-governance, the choices that you make, the freedom that we have. Some of this, the relationship, I think, is proven even by, not by subjectiveness that we often associate ourselves with, saying that relationship is everything, but it's also proven by Harvard. Last year, around March, the fourth director on the research gave to the world that they've been having a group of youngsters since 75 years who have now, few of them have died, few of them are still living, and they've been tracing their entire life to see what actually, if we had to deduct one indicator for happiness, what would that be? And they realize it's a relationship. And that's what is missing on the planet today very, very much. So, the other thing that Bhutan also tried looking at is the measures were never not there with us. We knew that we need to be happy, and the kings tried to bring those kind of happiness by creating conditions for us. They said, okay, large part of your conditions you have to have your own efforts. Some part it's a community effort, some part it's a government's effort. Not everything government gives you, like what somebody referred this morning. It's not the duty of the government, or it was President Fox. It's not the duty of the government, it's duty of every individual. Today we blame the whole country, the government, the people around, but we don't tend to change ourselves. The moment we transform, we'll have a better world, because we can then bring the change in others as well. So the world, after it was spoken in 1998 in Seoul in the UN summit about happiness, because the UN wanted that, the world climbed onto us and said, but how do you measure this? Why do you say this is better than GDP? And so the world came and helped us to bring measures. And so we have 4 pillars, 9 domains, 33 indicators, 124 variables to measure. Today we can do it, we can interview a person in less than an hour because they are all computerized. But when we began, it took 6 hours to interview a person, and that was not happiness by far. So we do have the survey results of 2010 and 2015 that also indicates, how different domains behave with the increase of one of the 9 domains. So the government actually promised 6 things to the people of Bhutan: road to every house, electricity to every house, drinking water to every house, education for all, health for all, and the other one was telecommunication facilities to every corner of the country. So all the 6 promises were met. And of course the 2010 survey was in between the first democratic government, and 2015 happened to be in the second democratic government, which the government actually changed. It went to a different party. And now when these 2 times are measured and compared, we suddenly see the psychological well-being going down, because the living standards have gone up, the GDP has increased, so psychological well-being has gone down, and community vitality has gone down. And the reason being that, people who have lived for generations together as community suddenly felt that difference. The rich could immediately afford to buy a car, go for the latest gadgets and mobiles, appliances at home. And so, people who generally contributed for the common cause, who gave their time and money, stopped doing that. They wanted to now save money to also compete with the other richer guys. So suddenly there was this difference, and there was this fear factor, there was this jealousy, there was this anger, a lot of things started to come back. So now what the government has decided is to have these 9 domains brought into our 12th 5-year plan. That's going to be from mid of 2018, and we're going to have all these domains related to our development key indicators as well. Coming to the definition of happiness, which I should have done already, actually happiness that we define is not this fleeting, momentary pleasure, feel-good moods, that often we associate ourselves with. It's much more to do. Happiness comes from a term called deki, actually, in our language, and it has 3 components. Is to serve others, to live in harmony with nature, and to realize your own innate wisdoms and values. These 3 things contribute to the happiness that we often associate with the term GNH. So we don't, and as it was told already in the morning, happiness is a very subjective thing. You can be happy in the morning, you can be happy in the next 1 minute, and you can be unhappy. But I think Lord Buddha did say that, if we have few things in our minds, and as everybody knows that happiness is inward, not outward. You might be happy with something that you desire for, and then when that is over, the happiness is over. But this is not the lasting happiness we speak of. We must learn to do 3 things: not compete each other, not complain, and not compare. So 3 things if we can do, then we will automatically get into the first step of trying to accept things as they are and let things go. And if we are able to do this, we can find happiness within. We don't have to look for happiness outside. In whatever situation you are, in whatever times you are, you can always be happy. You can always be happy. I remember a small incident not long ago, about 10 days ago, we were flying back from Delhi to Bhutan, and suddenly because of the weather, the plane couldn't land in Bhutan, and it went back to the nearest port in India. And everybody was so anxious, so jittery, so angry why they couldn't land. And I just got up and said, let's meditate. And we began meditating. And I brought happiness in the face of everybody. So it's really not, when you try to live in the past, like Dalai Lama or Buddha said that, there are 2 days that we can't control or don't have control over. That's yesterday and tomorrow. But today we have. So if we learn to do our things as they are today and also contribute a stone towards tomorrow, I think tomorrow will come to us and come in a much happier way than that we think. So I would like to conclude by saying that if we can generate these values of love and compassion, kindness, loyalty, dedication in our own ways of life, we would learn to self-rule ourselves, and as well as we shift from the paradigm of ego to eco. So, today we live as we are human beings, and if you consider in the planet, the space for human beings is only 1% of the entire space, but we have taken over 30% of the entire space of the globe. And so we feel that we are on top of everything. Nature is there to serve us. That's how we feel. But if you look into the reality that nature, we are a part of the nature. And that's what I said when I said we are constituting of 6,000 billion organisms and cells, of which only 6 billion cells belong to human cells. The rest of them are all organisms, either from water or food we eat. So when we are distressed and very anxious or very depressed, we can go to the ocean side or to the mountains or to the rivers or to the forest, and you have immediately a calming effect because your 5,994 billion organisms quickly connect with them. And often when you shift your place from your country to another country and the food changes, you tend to suffer a little bit because your organisms are used to your place and not this place, so they take a little time. So if we can change our concept of being egoist, being very selfish, being very competitive, being very shrewd, to very collaborative, very cooperative, if we can change that paradigm shift and become a part of the interdependence, I think we'll have a happier world to live for our generations to come. So sustainability is not for us and not for this time, it is for all generations to come. And that's how we must look forward in our lives with the money and the economy that we often associate with growth. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.